Hi everybody, I'm at Attikayam, just near to the stone where I was sitting when my friend the cobra came and visited me. I can hear the rustling of the leaves as the breeze uh, is there is breeze over here, and a lot of dried leaves are falling down. In fact, the season is changing. The rains have stopped, and the season is changing, and so is the environment. If you look around, you will find that the trees are the leaves are drying up and falling, and this is the season when the leaves fall and new leaves emerge. There's a lot of dried leaves on the ground, inevitable, and change is occurring, and change is the aspect of life that we have to think of all the time, that life is never stationary. This year's gospel portion for the New Year's Holy Communion service was from Luke chapter 13, verses 6 to 9. A beautiful parable over there, where Jesus speaks of a man who had planted a tree and waited for years for it to bear fruit. Finally, when it was not bearing fruit, he told the man who was the caretaker to cut it down. The caretaker said, Master, let it be there for one more year. I'll try to plow around the tree and put some manure and all, and let us see if it will bear fruit. If not, after 1 year, we'll cut it down. Now, this is something that is very realistic in human life. In our relationship with God, in our relationship with creation, God has created us and planted us on this earth for us to bear fruit and to multiply. And that is the joy of living, to bear fruit, to be fruitful, to multiply meaningfully. And that is the way we have to see life. We need to experience life fruitfully. I am a person who loves trees. Right from my childhood, I've been climbing trees, hugging trees. So many things that I do may seem weird to people. But for me, the tree represents the value of life. Everything in science also teaches us this. Anyway, I have planted a number of trees. In fact, I bring seeds from elsewhere and get them germinated, have it to be a sapling, and then I would plant it. Like that, I planted mangosteen, I planted rambutan, I planted what is called as nutmeg. I've also planted avocados. Now, two trees that I got from the nursery were called they are called the sapota, or the chiku tree. I love chikus because when I was young in Maharashtra, Bombay, I used to eat a lot of chikus. So I had this kind of vision, or maybe a dream, that there should be chiku trees around my house bearing a lot of chikus, and it looks very good. It looks beautiful. So I planted a chiku tree. Unfortunately, even after 12 or 15 years, both these trees did not bear fruit. That's when I realized that these were not original chiku trees. They were fake, they were frauds. Finally, it took me a lot of effort to cut them down. In fact, the trunk wouldn't cut, and maybe part of it was my machine saw, which was not working well. But anyway, it was a big effort to get it out of the way and plant something else over there. In fact, I planted noni over there, and noni has come out very well. So all these efforts only go to show that if a tree is not fruitful, we ultimately cut it down. If I planted sapota and I did not get a sapota tree, and if I didn't get sapotas out of it, obviously I'm not going to allow it to remain there. Similarly, I planted avocados with the hope that after a few years I would get avocados. In fact, I got the seed germinated, planted it with a lot of care. It grew up to be a big tree. But 5 of the 7 that I planted have dried up. It was a heartbreak. I just couldn't accept it because that's not what I planted it for. 2 of them have survived, and I noticed something, that the 2 that survived are surrounded by trees that give it shade. That is the way it has survived. And third tree that I planted was the nutmeg tree. I planted 5 of them, and I waited every year I look up to the tree to see if there are fruits over there. And this year, when I checked up, I saw that one of the trees has borne about 10 nutmegs. Oh my, I was thrilled. I was so thrilled. Life is also like this. We can be fruitful. Now, the sapota turned out to be a fraud. I can make my life into a fake life, a fraud life. Not the life that God created and planted me here for, but a life that is fraudulent. I can become like that. I can look like the sapota tree, but I wouldn't be the sapota tree. That is the first experience. The second experience is that of the avocado tree. It's it's a tree that gives a lot of greenery, and the fruits are supposed to be very nutritious. That's how I got to plant it over there. Unfortunately, some reason, maybe the ground did not provide it enough water, whatever, it just dried up. Just think of the heartbreak involved. I keep wondering, if the tree had legs, maybe it would have gone away from there and planted itself somewhere else where it could be growing as a good tree. But unfortunately, the avocado doesn't have legs. And we are like this at times. Unless the environment is suitable for us to grow, we wouldn't be able to nurture ourselves and flourish. But who creates the environment? More than the external environment is important, no doubt about it. But more than the external environment is my internal environment. What is my internal environment? Is my internal environment meaningful? Am I nurturing a good internal environment irrespective of what is happening? We are not like the avocado tree that will dry up. We don't have to dry up. Our spirit is eternal. We can be nurturing ourselves in the freshness of life. Now, the third one that I planted was the nutmeg tree. Like I told you, I waited in anticipation. And here, this year, I found that there were nutmegs on the tree. The joy it gave me was tremendous. Let us understand this parable in the light of all these three experiences that I gave. There are many more experiences. There is so much to learn from nature. Can we look at ourselves and see that and believe and understand that change is inevitable. Change is real. Even as I am talking to you, some more of my hairs are going grey. Change is inevitable. But in this inevitable change, there is one thing, one aspect of my life that doesn't change. That is the eternal spirit in me, the presence of God in me. Can I recognize that? God is waiting, wanting, and expecting me to be fruitful. As we enter the new year, there's a lot of fear and anxiety, lot of inconsistencies, lot of uncertainties. Earlier it was the COVID, then it became the Delta, now it is the Omicron. We don't know what else is there in store for us. And for people living in the war zone, people living in areas where there are calamities, people living in areas where there are riots, people living in areas where there is racial and religious hatred, where communities are fighting with each other or bringing others down. There is so much of anxiety, so much of fear, but there is also anticipation. Wherever we may be, let us believe and hope and live in anticipation, because ultimately the world is in the hands of God, and we can keep our hopes and our anticipations meaningful in the presence of God. You see, we have our small spaces in which we live. We can't live in the whole world. We live in small spaces. In those small spaces, we can try to become meaningful. We can create meaning. We can flourish within ourselves, even in the time of sorrow, even in the time of pain, even in the tremendous experiences of unrest that we go through, which is not necessarily to be there, but it is there. Even all these things, we can keep hope, we can keep faith, when we live in anticipation and creatively develop our inner world in the communion of humanity, creation, and especially in communion with God. I hope and pray that this year may be a year of anticipation and hope. Of course, amidst the fear, amidst the anxiety, amidst the uncertainty, amidst the tomorrow that we don't see, we do not know, but which we know, about which we know one thing: whatever may happen in our tomorrow, God is with us. God is in our journey of life. God bless you in this new year. Thank you so much.